Hello children, let me welcome you to the virtual training center of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher. Children, we are in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, isn't it? Because of that, we are not able to go to school, but that doesn't mean that we are going to stop learning. We are going to meet here regularly through the virtual training center to learn many lessons in EVS. So come on, let's go to a lesson in EVS. So children, let me welcome you back to the lesson that we were doing in standard 3rd EVS. And remember, what was the lesson? It was a very interesting lesson about the story of our lives. It was a lesson called Growing Up and Growing Old. And this is lesson number 23 in your textbook. Now, if you look at the lesson in your textbook, children, I told you it is on page number 133. So you can open your textbooks and you can come onto the same page so that you can understand what I am teaching. So in the previous part of the lesson, we talked about growth and growing up in human beings. Okay? In this particular part of the lesson, we will talk about growth and growing up and growing old or dying in plants, and also we will take a quick look at the life cycle of animals also. Now remember, animals and human beings, we come under the same category of living things, alright? Plants are also living things, but they are a little different from us. So let us start this lesson by talking about what we did last time, and we will see it quickly. We will do a quick recap and then we will move on and talk about plants today. So this is part 2 of the lesson number 23, growing up and growing old. So in last time's lesson, we saw that when we are born, we are so tiny, we are so helpless, all right? And with the love and affection of our mothers, with the care that we get not only from our mother but also from the other members in our family, we slowly start growing up. And we saw how babies grow, all right from the time when they are not able to eat anything to the time they are able to go to school on their own. After that, we talked about how we grow up and then we keep on growing up and growing up and growing up, and finally we start growing old. So look at this picture, you can see all those stages here, isn't it? A small baby, and then see a baby becomes a little bit more bigger, and then a little bigger, and then he becomes a young boy, and then he becomes an older boy, all right? Now this is a teenager, this is a young man, and from here, from around the age of 40, then we start going downwards. That is, our age progresses, we grow older, and then we start becoming weaker also. So you can see after that the person starts looking weaker and weaker, and then finally we saw that we die, or one day death occurs. So this was about the life cycle or about the growth of human beings. Human beings means people like you and me. Now today's lesson we will be talking about plants, but before that there is a small point that we left out. We have to talk about vaccinations. Okay? Now vaccination is a word which we are hearing a lot nowadays. Because of the COVID pandemic, people are being given vaccination to prevent this COVID. But children, this vaccination is not something new. This vaccination has happened since many years. So this vaccination begins as soon as a child is born. Okay? And then at various stages of its growth, the doctor gives the child various vaccinations in order to prevent diseases in the child. So the certain diseases which you can prevent giving vaccines. Alright? So even now we are trying to prevent coronavirus or COVID from happening now by giving vaccines to people. So this is called as vaccination. What is it called? It is called vaccination. Okay? So this is the vaccination schedule for babies. So at birth some vaccines are given, When the baby is 6 weeks old, some vaccines are given. When the baby is 10 weeks old, some vaccines are given. At 14 weeks, at 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. So see, there are so many vaccines which are given to the child. There are certain vaccines which are given even when the child grows up. That is when the child becomes 14 years, 15 years, etc. Alright, so let us take a look at few of them. Not all of them, few of them. So see, we have the BCG vaccine, which is given at the time of birth to the child. So in the hospital only, when you are born, when your mother, before she brings you home, the doctor gives you BCG vaccine. At the same time, the doctor gives you hepatitis B vaccine also in the hospital only. Okay, and then the polio virus vaccine, OPV, oral polio virus. They put the vaccine in your mouth. Okay, and then after your mom takes you home, then she takes you back to the hospital after you are 6 weeks old, that is 1.5 months old, 10 weeks old, etc. So these are all the vaccines which are to be given to a baby in order to prevent so many diseases. So you can prevent TB here, you can prevent polio here, you can prevent measles, typhoid, and so many other dangerous disease in children by giving them vaccine. Okay, so vaccines are the best way to help to keep infants and young children protected against serious vaccine preventable diseases. Because when they are young, children are very, very delicate. Something happens, they become very serious. Alright, and the doctors, mummy and papa, have to rush them to the hospital, and the doctors have to do a lot of treatment on them. So it is better to give them vaccines so that these diseases can be prevented. Okay, so this is one more thing which we wanted to talk about, one point which was left off when we were talking about human beings. Now let us move on and let us talk about plants. So the next part of our lesson is growth in plants. So see here, you can see 3 pots, and in all the 3 pots you have the same plant. Okay, in the first case the plant is very young, very small, and then slowly, as you can see, the height of the plant goes on increasing and the plant starts becoming bigger. So close your eyes for a moment and think about how human beings grew. So almost the same way, isn't it? Even our size grew. So we will learn a little bit more about how plants grow. Alright, so see, this is a picture from your textbook, and they have asked us to look at these 3 pictures. These are pictures of the same mango tree. Okay, so these are not 3 different trees. These are the same mango trees. And they are asking us to answer some questions. So you can open your textbook. If you have already opened it, turn to page number 135. So let us look at the first question. Which is the oldest picture? So which is the oldest picture here? The picture which is taken first. Yes, it is this one, when the tree was very young. So this is the oldest picture. And which is the most recent picture? Most recent means taken just now. Yes, it is this one, the most recent, because see, the tree is fully grown now. Look at the size of its stem. So it is a big grown up tree now. It was like this, like it looks in the oldest picture. And then we have which picture is the one of the time in between. So naturally, it is the third picture, the time in between. So as soon as the tree was born, how is the tree born? The tree is born out of the seed. I will show you pictures very soon. Okay, so it is a small plant. Then can you see how it is growing? The size of its branches is growing. The size of the stem is growing. It has got so many more leaves on it. And along with leaves, you can also see that now there are yellow color flowers and green color mangoes also. So this is how trees grow. So how did you guess which is the oldest picture, which is a recent picture? How did you guess? We guessed because of the size of the trees. Okay, how did you guess? Because of the size, and also because of the presence of fruits, flowers, etc. on the trees. Okay, so when you know that a tree is big in size, that means it is grown. When a tree is very small in size, means it is just born and it will grow very soon. Okay, so let us understand about the growth of plants in detail. So we have already studied about the growth of human beings. So the plants also grow in a similar manner. See, the first human here, he is so height is small, and then the height goes on increasing. Here also you can see the height goes on increasing, and also the width of the body, that is the weight of the body, also goes on increasing. Here also it is the same story. Okay, so plants as well as human beings, they grow in a similar manner, but let us understand it in detail now. So first thing for a plant to grow is its seed. Alright, so when you put a seed in soil, the seed starts sprouting. Okay, sprouting means it germinates. So see, we are looking at certain new words over here. Sprout means what happens? It germinates and it produces a new plant. See, so how it is growing, and a new plant has come up. So a seed, when you plant it in the soil, it starts sprouting. Now the seed has to sprout means first the root of the seed has to grow. So can you see how the root is growing here? Yes, first the seed, along with the leaves coming up, the root also has to grow, and the root holds the seed nicely in the soil. Okay, only if the root grows properly, then the seed will also grow properly into a plant. If the root doesn't grow properly, the seed also will not grow properly. Okay, so this is an interesting image now, showing how both the things are happening at the same time. The seed is growing as well as the roots are also spreading. Now what does a root do for the seed? The root allows the seed to absorb things from the soil. So for a seed to sprout, it must develop root in the soil. So see what the seed is doing. It is pulling water, not only water, other substances also from the soil. Sometimes you have a rose bush at home. In a kundi you have a rose plant. You add some tea leaves to it. You add sometimes some medicine to it. So how does the medicine reach the rose plant? The rose plant can't eat, isn't it? So the medicine reaches through these roots. So the roots allow the plant to absorb things like water and things like other substances from the soil, and the leaf starts making food, and then the plant begins to grow. Okay, so see how the plant grows here. So along with the water, it also requires other things I told you, no? So one of the other thing is sunlight. So if the plant has got good soil, if it has got water, if it is getting good sunlight, then the plant starts growing well, and the plant begins to grow properly. Can you see how the plant is growing? The roots are going down, 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 and water is going into the plant from the soil, and also the sun rays the plant is getting. So now the plant is growing to become a healthy, the seed is going to become a healthy plant. Alright, see, and it starts getting new leaves also. Along with leaves it also gets flowers. Okay, but now let us look at the leaves. So it gives out new leaves. It also starts growing flowers, and it also begins to become taller. So see, this was short, and see how tall this is. So at the proper stage of its growth, it starts giving out flowers. Flowers start appearing on the trees, and from these flowers fruits develop. So see here how fruits are developing. Wow, so many apples. Okay, first it was getting leaves, and then flowers came out, and then finally we have lots of fruits. Now these fruits, all these fruits have got seed inside them. Can you see? The seed of the lemon fruit. Okay, now even the apple which you eat, it has got seeds inside it. See? Here, when you take an apple, you start biting into it. You come to a part where there are seeds inside the apple. So these seeds again will give rise to new plants. So did you see how the cycle happens? First the seed, and the seed grows, and then the plant comes up, and then the plant becomes older, it gets flowers, it gets fruit. Inside the fruit there are seeds again, and again we have the seeds growing into trees. So this is the cycle of a life of a tree. This is how growth occurs in plants. Okay, from the seed to the tree to the fruit, again back to the seed, and the cycle goes on. So now we have seen how seeds develop. Now children, we are affected by the sun, isn't it? Okay, all of us are affected by many things like the sun, the rain, diseases. In the same way, these trees are also affected by many things like this. So the trees are affected by the sun. The trees are standing outside in the hot sun the whole day. Now it is summer. When we are in the sun outside for around 10 minutes at around 12 o'clock, you feel so bad, isn't it? See, you start sweating and you feel as if you're going to faint. But think about these poor trees. They're standing out under the hot sun the whole day, whether it is the sun, whether it is a wind. So see, even strong winds, they trouble these trees. The trees sometimes lose some branches, they lose some leaves. Okay, the fruits fall off. So the tree must withstand all these things. The tree must bear all these things. And what are these things? These things are things like the rain, the sun, the wind, even rainy season. Can you see how hard, how badly it is raining? And see the condition of the tree here. Okay, so sometimes these trees fall also during the rain. You must have seen some trees in your neighborhood. They fall when it is raining too hard, because along with rain there are winds also. So there are so many things which affect the life of a tree. Along with that, like we fall sick, sometimes the tree also falls sick. So see this poor tree, it has bent now. It doesn't have any leaves on it. Why? Because now it is falling sick. It is becoming weak. It could become weak because of a number of reasons. There could be some problem like it is not getting proper water and the soil has been washed away. There are so many reasons. Sometimes there are insects which start troubling the tree. So can you see this insect? It starts biting into the tree, and the tree slowly develops a lot of injury. See what the insects have done to the tree? They have damaged the trunk of the tree. Alright, and then the tree starts becoming weaker and weaker. So there are many different types of insects, children. See, this is a worm. See, it is sitting inside the tree and it is chewing the tree up. Alright, okay. See, the tree starts becoming like this then. There are big holes in the stem of the trees, and finally the trunk of the tree, it starts cracking up, it starts breaking up, and then the tree falls to the ground one fine day. Okay, so this is how death occurs in a tree. So just like human beings die, all plants also die. Some plants die earlier, some plants die later. Okay, that is the difference between human beings and plants. All human beings die at around the age of 70, 75, 80. Okay, but in plants, if you have a small plant, the banana plant for example, it dies after it gives fruit once. Then you have the banyan trees which are standing for centuries together. So this is one difference between the life of plants and animals. That is, animals have different ages of dying. Plants have different ages of dying, and human beings die around the same age. They could die because of various reasons, okay? That is also very important to remember. So this was about the life cycle of a tree. See, in this one picture, you will be able to see the entire life cycle of a tree. How the tree starts growing, and then how the tree gets damaged, and one fine day, the tree dies. Okay, so this was about life cycle of trees. Now let us look at the life cycle of a few animals. Okay, animals which we have seen, animals which are wild animals. So look at the life cycle of a hen. So there is the egg, the adult hen, it lays an egg, and after around 3 weeks you have a small chick coming out of the egg. After around 3 months, the chick grows up and it becomes an adult hen, and then the hen again lays egg, and again the chick comes out of the hen egg, etc. So this is how the cycle of animals are. Okay, let us look at a few more animals. So see, this is the life cycle of a dog. See here, the mama dog has got so many puppies, and then here is a small puppy, a puppy dog. This is a young dog. This is an adult dog. The adult dog will again get puppies, and the cycle will continue. Now this is a life cycle of a tiger. Now the hen and the dog were domestic animals. Now the tiger is a wild animal, but see, the life cycle is almost the same. You have a newborn tiger, you have a tiger cub, you have a young tiger and an adult tiger. Okay, the adult tiger becomes older and dies. In the same way, the adult hen becomes older and dies. The adult dog becomes older and dies, and so on. So these are the life cycle of some animals. See, this is the life cycle of a fish. The fish also is developed by an egg. So you have an egg, and then the egg grows into the larva. Then you have the young fish, and then you have the adult fish. Okay, so this is about life cycle of some animals. Like for example, the chicken, the dog, the tiger, and any other animal if you pick up. If you have Google with you, you can go to Google and you can look at the life cycle of many different animals. Most of them are the same. Alright, they are either directly born or they are come out of an egg. So this was about life cycle of animals, children. Now there are some small things which are there in the textbook. There is a question in which they have asked you to think about how a cat moves her kitten from one place to another. So you have your mummy who carries you in your arm lovingly like this. Okay, when you are young, see how the mama has carried the baby very lovingly, very gently, isn't it? But look at the cat. How does a cat carry her child around? Oh God, see, the cat has held the kitten by the neck. Can you imagine your mother doing this to you? Not at all. So all animals have their own way of living. Okay, there are many other questions also, that someone's hair is turning grey, but that all those things we have talked about. So if it is a new thing, we will talk about it. Alright, so this is about how certain animals carry their babies around and how certain other animals carry their babies around. You must have seen the kangaroo. How does a kangaroo carry the baby around? It has got a pouch in which it puts its baby and it carries its baby around. Okay? Then now there is one more question about how things like moong, matki or chavli are sprouted after being soaked in water. So what do? This is an example of moong. So you take some moong and you put it in water. Okay? After a few days, you can say, or after one day, it starts sprouting like this. Can you see the moong sprouting? You have to, of course, remove the moong from the water. Okay, if you keep it inside the water, it may not sprout as well. So the moong starts sprouting, and then what happens? It starts looking like this. And then what is it called? This process is called Germination. What is it called? Germination. It sprouts. So that process is called as germination. Okay? So children, in this particular lesson, we talked about the growth cycle of human beings. That is how human beings grow up and how they grow old. And we also talked about the growth in plants. That is how a small seed, it germinates and how it becomes bigger and bigger and becomes a mature plant, and how the cycle continues. Alright, so this was about lesson number 23, growing up and growing old. So we did the lesson in two parts, children. In the first part we talked about growth in human beings, and in the second part we talked about growth in plants, and also we looked quickly at how animals have their growth. So that is all for today, children. Very soon I'll meet you with the next lesson in EVS. Till then, thank you so much. So children, wasn't that a very interesting lesson? I'm sure you learnt a lot of new things in this lesson. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my video so that you will get to see all the videos which I keep posting regularly.